Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Lovie Smith finally got fired after going 17-39 with just one bowl appearance during his time in Champaign. Bret Bielema now comes in with an extensive Big Ten history, hoping to turn things around, but don't expect many changes in year one. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, ready to predict Illinois' schedule and record for this 2021 college football season. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and also make sure to check out everything down in the description below. That includes our brand new expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Make sure to go check it out again on our website. Sign up today. You're not going to want to miss it. So Bret Bielema, guys, how about that? Back in the college ranks. Did a fantastic job at Wisconsin. Left to go to Arkansas. Did okay there. Got fired back in 2017. Spent some time in the NFL with both the Patriots and the Giants. And now finds himself back in the Big Ten with Illinois. I found this to be one of the best hires of this last offseason. Bielema is a guy that knows the Big Ten extremely well. Played in the Big Ten at Iowa, again, coached there at Wisconsin. And while I do find it to be a great hire, I do believe it's going to take some time to build up this Illinois football program. We take a look at their roster, guys. A team that went just 2-6 last year. Their lone wins coming against Rutgers and Nebraska. 8 starters are back on offense after averaging just 20.1 points per game and just 152.9 passing yards per game. They need help everywhere. And when you look at it, 8 starters are back, including their quarterback in Brandon Peters, who played in 5 of the 8 games. Again, of course, injured in 3 of them, but played in 5 of the 8 games. He returns. 4 offensive linemen return. And again, that's huge. That's what Bielema wants. He wants big offensive linemen up front to pave the way for his running backs. And this year, that's going to be Chase Brown, who had 540 yards last year, and Chase Hayden, who actually was under Bielema, played for Bielema briefly during his time at Arkansas. Really, the biggest question for Illinois is their wide receiver core. Who's it going to be? Who's going to step up? Josh Imatorbhebhe is gone. That was their go-to. So guys like Daniel Barker and Brian Hightower are going to have to step up big time, and Brandon Peters is going to have to step up big time to see this offense improve at all. When you look at the defense, 7 starters are back on that side of the ball. And again, Bielema, usually a solid defensive-minded coach, but this is a defense that needs a lot of work. They ranked last in the Big Ten last year, allowing 230.1 rushing yards per game. They ranked last in the Big Ten last year, allowing 467.2 total yards per game. And again, there's talent there. A guy like Jake Hansen, returning at linebacker, their leading tackler last year. A guy like Tony Adams leading the secondary. A guy like Owen Carney leading the defensive line with 5 sacks last year. But is that going to be enough? Last year, we thought the same thing. Last year, Illinois was coming off their first bowl appearance under Lovie Smith. The first bowl appearance since 2014? Had a bunch of these starters coming back, and everybody thought Illinois was going to be scary good, and they weren't. They went 2-6. Do we really think that can all change and magically come together for a special year with a brand new head coach, a brand new scheme, post-COVID year, and a difficult schedule? So let's go ahead and take a look at this schedule and see what Bret Bielema can do in year one. They open up the season in week 0, technically, August 28th, against Nebraska at home. It's unfortunate because this game should have been played in Ireland, so it would have been a fantastic kickoff to college football. But because of COVID, of course, cannot go play overseas, so the game was just moved to a home game for Illinois in Champaign. Last year, Illinois beat Nebraska 41-23. They won that game at Nebraska. But you look at Nebraska this year. While I'm not expecting anything big from Scott Frost and the Cornhuskers, I do know 2 things. First off, they're going to have a solid defense. 9 starters are back on defense, and the talent is there from the defensive line to the linebacking core to the secondary. I also know that Nebraska is not going to have much of a passing attack. Adrian Martinez is back at quarterback, but who's he throwing the ball to? Their best playmakers are gone. Spielman transferred out last year. Wan'Dale Robinson transferred out this year. Dedrick Mills, their star running back, gone. So what are they going to do? They're going to run the football because they can do that. Nebraska averaged 201.4 rushing yards per game. Again, Illinois allowed 230.1. I know they beat them by 18 last year at Nebraska. I know the game's now in Illinois. But this feels like a must-win first game for Scott Frost. And I think the Cornhuskers have just enough to come on the road and do that. Illinois drops to 0-1. They then come back, or they stay home and play Texas San Antonio. This is a major trap game, guys. The Roadrunners were good last year. They were good, and they returned 21 starters. Jeff Traylor did a fantastic job. Jeff Traylor, the former running backs coach at Arkansas and a brilliant recruiter, worked and was on the staff with Bret Bielema during his time at Arkansas. So these two get to go up against each other. But you look at the Roadrunners, guys. Frank Harris is back at quarterback, dual threat quarterback. Sincere McCormick is back at running back, over 1,400 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. All 11 starters are back on defense. Obviously, 10 starters are back on offense. This team is a Conference USA favorite, no doubt in my mind. And it would not surprise me in the slightest to see Texas San Antonio come on the road and beat Illinois. But I'm going to give the Fighting Illini the benefit of the doubt. That after playing a legit Big Ten Conference game in Week 1, they wake up, they've got their feet wet, they figure out what they need to do, and they're able to shut down Texas San Antonio just barely, and they get a win over the Roadrunners. It's going to be close, and it would not surprise me at all to see the Roadrunners win this game, but I'm going to give Illinois the win here. They then travel on the road to Virginia, ACC Big Ten matchup. Virginia's secondary was the worst in the ACC last year, so the worst ACC passing defense versus the worst Big Ten rushing defense. And if Illinois had a lick of a passing offense, I'd say they might be able to win this game. But they don't. It's also at Virginia. Virginia does have a lick of a passing offense. Brennan Armstrong is going to do great things in his second full year as a starter. And I believe Virginia and the Cavaliers have enough to get the job done at home in Week 2, official Week 2, and Illinois now drops to 1-2. They then return home and begin the majority of their Big Ten Conference play. They have that non-conference game against Charlotte there, but we've got back-to-back conference games against Maryland and Purdue. The one against Maryland falls on a Friday night, and as we've said for many teams when they play Maryland, you don't know what to expect. The Terrapins typically start very strong under Mike Locksley. The last 2 years they've done that. The last 2 years they've started strong under Mike Locksley, and they fizzle out as the year goes on. I don't know if that will be the case this year or not, but I would expect another strong start with Talia Tagovailoa, all of his top pass catchers returning, and a defense that should improve a little bit, but will still be their weakest link. Maryland is going to lose a handful of games this year. I know that. I think inconsistency is going to come back to bite them. But I don't think one of those losses is going to come to the Fighting Illini. I think Illinois struggles to stop this passing offense of Maryland. I think Mike Locksley is starting to figure things out, at least with that side of the ball. Defense remains to be seen, but the offense, not so much. They're able to exploit Illinois' very subpar defense, and on Friday night, the Terrapins get a big conference win, and Illinois drops to 1-3. I'm going to bump them to 1-4 with a loss at Purdue. Illinois lost to the Boilermakers by 7 last year, 31-24. And again, Purdue's offense, I think, is very solid. So first off, it's in West Lafayette. Braum usually plays well there, usually coaches well at home. And Purdue needs all the help they can get, all the wins they can get if they want to get back to the postseason. We know their offense has the capability to be solid, usually is. Whether it's Jack Plummer or Aiden O'Connell, doesn't matter. David Bell's going to be the workhorse there. It's the defense that needs the most work, and they have that talent. George Karlaftis on defense is going to be one of the best defensive linemen in the country. It'll be interesting to see how he goes up against this stout Illinois offensive line. But at the end of the day, at home, with Braum, I like Purdue. And I think Illinois drops that game before bouncing back and defeating Charlotte to kick off October, snapping a 3-game losing skid. So just to kind of recap real quick, we've gone through a handful of games right now. They're 2-4 going into the rest of their Big Ten slate. Lone wins against Texas San Antonio and Charlotte, neither are givens. And you look at the games they've lost. Nebraska certainly winnable. Maryland certainly winnable. I just don't see them going on the road and beating Virginia and Purdue. I don't see that happening at all. So 2-4 for Bret Bielema and Illinois going into conference play. Wisconsin, loss. How can you say it's not? Many would say, oh, but Illinois beat Wisconsin in 2019, beat them 24-23. It was one of the biggest upsets of the year. They did. That's a good point. But that was 2019. That's not now. Look at Wisconsin now. They finally have a quarterback with Graham Mertz. They're going to bully you up front in the trenches. And their defense will be one of the best in the country with 8 back. They won their final 2 games, carrying a little bit of momentum in there. They're not going to get derailed by COVID because this team looked like one of the best teams in the country before COVID derailed them. I think Wisconsin's the best team in the West, and they should be able to win this game in a convincing fashion. The biggest storyline here, though, of course, would be Bret Bielema facing off against his former school. Again, used to be the former coach at Wisconsin and did extremely well there. So they drop the game to Wisconsin. They get a bye week. They go to Penn State. So they're going to Happy Valley, fresh off a bye. Happy Valley, a place where they lost by 35 last year. They fell to Penn State 56-21. And I expect a similar result this year. They will fall to the Nittany Lions. How can you say they're going to even compete? Penn State struggled last year and beat Illinois by 35. We now expect Penn State to be better than they were last year. If they're getting them at home again, Nittany Lions win big. They then return home to play Rutgers, guys, on October 30th. This is a winnable game. Bret Bielema can win a conference game here against the Scarlet Knights. Because last year, Illinois went on the road and defeated Rutgers 23-20. And that was a game that I actually thought Rutgers could win. I thought Rutgers would defeat the Fighting Illini, and they didn't. On the offensive side of the ball that game, the offensive explosion that we saw on occasion under Greg Schiano wasn't there against Illinois. Couldn't get the job done. And I don't know if they're going to get the job done this time around either. I think this game at home is an opportunity for Bret Bielema's defense to flex their muscles a little bit against a Rutgers offense that is improving and will improve drastically in 2021, but still lacks the big playability and still lacks consistency. I believe at home, the defense steps up. Brandon Peters has a solid day against this Rutgers secondary, and the Fighting Illini get a conference win, the first of the Bret Bielema era. I believe, look, if Illinois can go on the road last year as bad as they were and defeat Rutgers, why can't they do it at home this year? I know the Scarlet Knights are improving. Some could say the Fighting Illini may be improving. But this is a very winnable game, and I think Bret Bielema gets his team ready because after that, I don't know if they can win a conference game. They travel to Minnesota, a team they lost to 41-14 last year. Well, they're not going to beat them on the road. Again, home field advantage may play a bigger role than we've ever seen before in college football. And now, with Minnesota returning so much talent, Tanner Morgan, Muhammad Ibrahim, Chris Ottman-Bell, guys like that, why do I think Illinois could go on the road and defeat the Golden Gophers? They can't. So they won't be able to do that. They get their second bye week because, again, they played in week 0. They play a week before everybody else starts. They get a road game at Iowa, team they lost to by 14 last year, 35-21. An Iowa team who we project will be very, very good this year and will have one of the best defenses in the country. At Kinnick Stadium in November. Not many teams can go in there and win. Some of the best can't even go in there and win, let alone Illinois. Another loss for the Fighting Illini. And they close out the year at home against Northwestern, a team who won the Big Ten West last year. So they have that going for them. But they do lose a lot of starters from that team. But a team that beat Illinois by 18, 28-10, and a team that has defeated the Fighting Illini 6 straight times. Illinois has lost to Northwestern 6 games in a row. Only one of those games have been decided by 1 possession. I don't expect that to change now in 2021, with only 3 wins to their name, final week of the year. Yes, it's senior day, senior night. It could play a minor role, but I still think Northwestern's defense is too much. And while I don't think their offense is going to be very good, I think Ryan Helinski starts to settle in as the year goes on. And Cam Porter has a pretty solid day against his very poor Illinois rushing defense. Northwestern wins their 7th straight against the Fighting Illini, and it's not going to be by 1 possession. It's going to be another blowout. So having said all of that, guys, we have Illinois going 3-9 in Bret Bielema's first year in Champaign. Now, for many, you might disagree. You go 15 starters are back, schedule. Some say it isn't too bad. I think it's relatively difficult. I think 3-9 is actually generous. Because I think Texas San Antonio easily could be a loss. Charlotte is absolutely not a given. And Rutgers has the capability to come on the road and win this game. I'm not saying Illinois could go winless. They're going to snag a win here and there. But to think they could go bowling, to think they could be competitive in Big Ten play in his first year in Champaign, I'm just not seeing it. Again, there's talent there for sure. But I still think they're a few years out from even getting to a bowl game and really seeing the full Bielema effect. Coaches, new coaches especially, need some time. And that's what Illinois fans have to give Bielema and his staff. Give him time. The Fighting Illini, 3-9 in 2021, but they'll get there. They'll get there. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Also, make sure to check out everything down in the description below. We have so much content down there for you, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. So make sure to go sign up for those today. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.